drink, so I won't be long either. Thanks, Guy, for inviting me today. My name's Jonathan from the Property Strategist, and I'll just, I came up with this presentation. If you can't see it, don't worry. I've done some printouts that you can take home with you, or email me and I can send you a PDF on it. Thank you, driver. The typical disclaimer, this is just general advice only. Thank you. All right, so we all want to become millionaires, right? That's what we're here for. This is what today is about. But let's start with some hard facts, because approximately 83% of Australians who retire over the age of 65 are on the age pension. That's very depressing news. 70 years of age will become the new normal. Apparently, is what Joe Hockey said many years ago. Expect us to work till 70 years of age. Well, my father was dead by 74, so he didn't have much of a retirement. Most are retiring poor on the age pension. So how can we combat this problem? Planning for your future. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. With what we do at the Property Strategist, we're big on education. So we want you to, a lot of people don't have a plan written down. They think it's all in their brain, but unfortunately that doesn't relate in the real world if you've just got it in your brain. So it's very important to write down a plan, your short-term, medium and long-term goals. And what about your dreams? You need to get those down and put an action plan so you can not rely on working till you're 70. So what we look at is also a finance plan, because this is one of the most important aspects of buying property, is to get the finance right, whether it's an owner-occupied property or an investment property. And I've been looking after investment finance for 15 years. So before you sign any contract on a property, you should be looking at a finance plan with your relative broker as well. And matching your goals to your ability to borrow, and that's obviously drastically reduced your ability to borrow over the last so many months, with an emphasis on your household living expenses from the Royal Commission. So part of the plan should be debt reduction. If you've got non-tax deductible debt on your own home, how can we look at ways of paying this off as quick as possible? And affordability, so you can model. So if you buy one property now, what about future modelling? How many properties can we buy in the future? So then we look at the property plan, property strategy, which matches your ability to borrow based on your finance plan. What is the holy grail of property investing? Well, that's capital growth and positive cash flow. It'd be great to get both. Not many get both, unfortunately. So we look at the rental yield, negative or positive cash flow. With the lowering of interest rates, of course, this has helped with the yields over time. We know growth is hard to predict. Time in the market will take care of that. And yield. So this is a little bit easier to predict because we know what we're going to get for rent today, and whether that's going to be negative or positive. If it's positive cash flow, that helps with your debt reduction strategy. So which is the best strategy? Because in real estate there are many different ways of making money. Whether they're units, apartments, do you buy old or new? Houses, dual dwellings and duplexes. And the one I like is overseas property, because that forms part of my dreams and goals. I'm set to, part of my dream and goal is to buy overseas property. Thailand and France I've got my eye on. And that keeps you motivated as too. So you don't have to just look at your strategy in buying in Australia, you can look in other countries. Right, so we look at cash flow reports. You shouldn't really be buying any investment property without a cash flow report, crunching the numbers. It's not like you're buying your own home, you buy emotionally. With investment property, it's a numbers game and research. So as part of the property strategy is we look at the research. Where are the employment hubs, the transport hubs, location, rental vacancies and yields, and of course capital growth. Part of my investors pack that we offer, we look at the property management, tax depreciation reports, independent building inspections. All these independent people are forming part of your team around you. These are all very important aspects of buying a brand new property. Landlord's insurance and your cash flow reports. This gives you the best information to make an informed decision, because too many people buy the wrong type of property in the wrong area, and it costs you a lot of money in the long term. So that team, extremely important. And it's about you. Professionalism is about you. Here's just an example of the front of my cash flow report, which is about 14 pages. And then this example is on a property where from week one, it's returning an average of $191 positive cash flow after all expenses. And we try and be conservative on our numbers because the bank's always going to be conservative. So we don't want to fluff up the growth rate at 8%, which is maybe unrealistic for, say, Ipswich. So we want to be very realistic in our figures. And the accountants love this type of report as well as your bank. Right, a positive strategy. Just one example. I'm not going to go through this because it's in the handout. You can have a read. This is these types of properties. The dual dwellings have been around for a number of years now. You've probably heard of them and seen them. There's pros and cons with any strategy. So this is just one example. The dual dwellings now are designed extremely well. They just look like a normal home. You can't tell it's a dual dwelling other than it's got a double letterbox, for example. There's a typical floor plan. Go to the next one. Now this is one where a first home buyer bought a dual dwelling. Still under construction. It was also when the first homeowner's grant was $20,000. It's now down to $15,000. So this guy was lucky. So this is a property in Marsden, down in Logan, on a one block of land. And this client was a fly-in, fly-out miner, single, young guy. So he's going to live in the two-bedder, and he's going to rent the other side out. Here are your funds to complete. So he's put in about 10% deposit. He's capitalising the mortgage insurance. He's able to use the grant towards his savings. There's his funds required. Here's the loan. Now he actually wanted a principal and interest loan, not just an interest only. Now with the rent that he's getting from the other side, basically his repayments on this $500-odd property is $160 a week. That's what he's out of pocket. This is less any tax deductions because there is a portion of it that he can claim a tax deduction on. Haven't included any of that, and that's where the accountant can work all that out, do his magic. So at the end of the day, it would be less than that. But what if he pays the full amount of $520 a week, and he puts the $360 from the rent into his mortgage, into his offset? He fast tracks, he saves $191,000 in interest, or basically halves a 30-year term loan. Oh, just some trends. These are getting a little bit old now, but just basically back in about 1990, my first mortgage was around here. about 18%. You probably, a lot of you can't remember that, showing my age. Here is when John Howard was Prime Minister. We had about 6 interest rate rises in a row, and then you'll know what that is. That's the GFC, bang. So we're around here now, so you can get 5-year fixed rates now at 3.99%. So it's still a great time for finance. The lending is starting to lift a little bit now on the investors, and the others will follow suit now, so it has been rather tough. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening.